All right. Hi, everyone. Today is the first part in my new series where I'm actually interviewing other lifters about their mental health journey and also how they got into powerlifting. Today, I'm joined by Michael Adams from Flying Kiwi Fitness.
Hey guys.
So, to start things off, Michael, how about you tell me a little bit about your business and how you got into lifting?
Yeah, sure. So I am a strength and rehab coach for kids with special needs. So young adults with special needs. So anything from like Down syndrome, autism, cerebral palsy, intellectual impairments, Fragile X syndrome. Kind of they're my main ones I look after. And it's anything in capacity of like getting young people up and out of their wheelchairs and kind of trying to walk and trying to do those sorts of things, all the way up to like Special Olympic gymnastics and powerlifting. So anything kind of in that range there is what I love to look after. It's a lot of fun. I don't really work for a living. I kind of just get to hang out with a whole bunch of friends. Like the past few weeks I've been working out of a different gym I'm normally at Good Life, but I haven't had to wear a uniform. So like I'm wearing like Avengers t-shirts and
Awesome.
heaps of stuff like that. It's really cool because it's a really relaxed work environment, and I think the relaxation side of things, of just being chilled out and knowing that you're amongst friends, really helps the work capacity of a lot of the guys I look after. So I'm very, very lucky to kind of do what I do. And into powerlifting, I did 2 bouts of bodybuilding. So back in 2013 and 2014, and I didn't like that it was all of the cardio and none of the calories. And I found out that powerlifting is literally the polar opposite, and I really liked that. And so I started doing powerlifting and heavier lifting. I liked when I was doing bodybuilding that I was lifting more each week. Then it kind of got to this point where you kind of stop lifting as much and it starts going downhill. And I didn't like that spot, because that was when everything started going downhill. And I think I really didn't enjoy the gym after that, because I felt like I was getting weaker and it wasn't going very well. So I think I kind of had this diminishing returns after a while of doing bodybuilding. So after I finished my second round of bodybuilding, I started just kind of doing powerlifting, and yeah, I've loved it ever since. So
Awesome. So that's a huge story, but I guess probably what I want to focus on the most is what made you choose your career?
oh geez, I I guess like I kind of fell into it, and I didn't realize that I loved it until after I started doing it. I basically was working as like a gym manager. Like I looked after the team of PTs, so the fitness manager at a Good Life. And one day we had a teacher come through from the local special needs school saying that she had a bunch of grade 12ers that needed to do some exercise because they were about to graduate, and they didn't really have anything else aside from, if they were into sport outside of school. Outside of that, that was all the exercise they really did. So she wanted them to kind of build good habits. So they came down to the gym. I kind of volunteered a couple of hours a week to look after this small class of 8. And after the first, couple of weeks, I was hooked. I loved it. I loved looking after the team, and they were my own little superheroes I got to look after that all had their own little quirks and stuff. And after maybe a few months, I had some of the parents start to approach me saying, "Hey, do you do this in a one-on-one capacity?" And so I basically went from managing like the team of PTs and all that sort of stuff and taking like 1 or 2 sessions. Now it's my full-time role. I don't lecture anymore. I don't manage any other teams. I've just got my own and the volume of athletes I look after. So I'm pretty lucky. Pretty lucky.
Yeah, that's so powerful that you've been able to really just change so many people's lives through training. With the mental health side of things, looking at your own mental health, have you found that it's improved through training and what you're doing with your work?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think a major portion of it's like my mental health being better is just I guess like the combination of like my work is it's very fulfilling. And so like I don't dread going to work every day. I love going to work. I love getting to see all the athletes and getting them to do their thing at the gym. And every time they achieve something, I feel like I've achieved something. So my day is always full of wins. I think that
Yeah.
really helps anyone's mental health, is having that, steady, um, steady feeling of achievement, even
Yeah.
if it's just small little things, like it really does help out a lot, I think.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really think that helps like mental health. And then for my own training myself, like, I think it's the, delayed gratification of, you put in all that hard work for XYZ amount of months, and then
Yes.
when you kind of finally get to the back end of a training block, and you start lifting more than you've lifted, or for more reps or more sets or whatever, that sense of achievement is huge, because you've put in all this effort for so long, and it
Yeah.
finally pays off. I think that really helps everyone's mental health. I recommend
Yeah.
lifting weights to everyone. It's a sense of improvement that doesn't go, oh, I kind of feel better. You've actually
Yeah.
got like this numbered kind of, you've got this digit that goes from point A to point B, and
Yeah.
you can measure how much further along you've came, and then that's a big mental health thing, of knowing that there's a result, knowing that,
Yeah.
you're going well. I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing.
Yeah. With your training, do you set yourself like a goal of what you're hoping to achieve with each block, or do you just sort of wing it a little bit and see what happens?
I think I aim for lifting more without hurting myself.
Yeah.
I used to be really bad for comparing anyone, myself, against anyone else in my weight class.
Yeah.
So like, I compete in the 82.5 kilo category, and I used to look at some of the guys in the 82 kilo category, like Critter and Les are a
Yep.
few of the guys in GPC, and they were doing 800 kilo totals at the same
Yeah.
weight as me, and I was like struggling to hit like a 520, and I
Yeah.
just look at them, just it would just really bring down my morale so much, because I just think I was just useless.
Yeah.
Powerlifting is their life, and they train super hard for it, and that's like one of the main drivers, is that they are coaches and they are lifters themselves, and so they are that top tier 0.001%. So
Yeah.
once I started kind of making my goal, I guess, um more focused on just getting to the end of a block without being injured, and lifting
Yeah.
that little bit more, I was happy. It didn't really have to be a number. If I got even just a 2.5 kilo on top, I was a happy lad. Or even if I
Yeah.
knew it felt better, it felt easier, then I knew
Yeah.
the times to come would be better. The 200 kilo squat used to be a grind, and now it wasn't as much.
Yeah.
Awesome. I think
Yeah.
it makes a big difference.
Yeah. So it's definitely a massive change in mindset about how you're approaching your training.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that's obviously going to be key to maintaining like really good mental health, especially, and also your passion for the sport. Like if you're focusing on what other people are doing, you're going to lose your passion so quickly.
Mm, yeah, you're not wrong. Comparing yourself to others can be so toxic.
Yeah. I
Mm.
definitely, I definitely have seen that in the past. So with your clients, with their training, do you see a direct correlation between their training and improving their mental health?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've got some of the athletes, like they understand a lot. They've got they're quite high functioning, and they can really
Yeah.
understand everything that's going on. And then I have some other athletes that they almost have no idea about what's on a barbell or what's on
Yeah.
whatever, but they know that bigger equals good, and
Yeah.
therefore I'm doing well. So like, a gym can still be the place that they come along, where like my rule for my business that I've given to, I've got a couple of coaches that work with me and stuff. The number one rule is everyone walks out with a smile. That's it.
Yeah.
So that everyone that comes to the gym with us associates gym equals happy,
Yeah.
or because then exercise equals happy. And then it doesn't matter whether they're with us or whether they're with anyone else. It means that long term, if they want to feel happy, they know they go to the gym, they walk out, and they suddenly have a smile on their face.
Yeah.
And then from that, we can start pulling out, okay, even if they come in and they sit down with us for an hour, and they
Yeah.
push the ball around, at least they're doing something, or they walk on a treadmill. Over the course of time, when they start feeling comfortable, when they start feeling more confident, they're going to want to lift the bar more, and that's going to result in good results later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
And I think that's really powerful that you've made it that they have to leave with a smile. Like
Mm.
so many people don't think of that. Like, and I think that's something really powerful you've done, especially knowing your client base as well as you do.
I try. I think it's I think it transcends like anyone that goes to a gym. Like if you go to the gym and you walk out and you always feel like crap,
Yeah.
probably not going to want to go back anyway. Whereas when you walk out with a
Yeah.
sense of achievement or a big smile, or I think I've had a few sessions where I've trained with my friends and I've barely done anything. It's just because we're all
Yeah.
having a big giggle and, you know, you do one set of curls and then you're laughing at each other for 10 minutes. You've done, your work rate was so low, but because you walked out with a smile, you still can't wait for the next time you go to the gym.
Yeah.
Odds are you're still going to do something at the gym next time. So it
Yeah.
becomes a point of growth.
Yeah, definitely. Like, do you find you train better with people or on your own?
With people, without a
Yeah.
doubt. Yeah. I'm a crowds and interact kind of dude.
Yeah.
Isolation this year sucked.
Yeah. So if you look at your mental health over isolation, have you seen it decrease or has it stayed fairly stable? Like how have you managed during this period?
I think I coped rather well in terms of the actual isolation because every day I got to see all my clients online. So I just took everyone over Zoom or over
Yeah.
whatever platform we could. So I could still I still saw them. I still got to
Yeah.
interact, I guess. Wasn't the same as in person. There was no hugs and high fives, but I still got to see them. And then in terms of like my lifting and stuff, I started I had a little bit of equipment at home, like I had a small bench press. I had like an iron bar that like bent when there was like 65 kilos on it, so it
Yeah.
wasn't very stable at all. But I could at least do something. But I
Yeah.
found every time I was training, I'd call someone. So I'd just always be on the phone or just talking or chatting. Either that or I had to have a movie going while I
Yeah.
trained, because I'd just be by myself or I trained with my partner or whatever the case. And
Yeah.
that was about as far as it went. Like I constantly, if I had just had someone chit chatting, I still felt good. But like if
Yeah.
I went a few days without catching up with friends or whatever, like I know I played a lot more video games over isolation
Yeah.
because I found that like, at least if I was playing like Call of Duty Warzone or if I was playing my World of Warcraft or whatever it was,
Yeah.
I was working in a team. I was doing something. I
Yeah.
felt significance because I had a role to do. I had something to perform, and I felt like my friends were still relying on me. And when I did a
Yeah.
good job, I felt good, you know?
Yeah.
So I think
And
that really helped my mental health.
yeah, and that says it shows exactly you know what you need to be able to be functioning at your best. Like so
Yeah.
many people don't actually identify that need of, you need communication to be around. Some people might be the opposite, but might not identify it. So especially when you're in lockdown and you're with, say you're with your housemates or your partner and you're
Mm.
only able to see those few people, it's really important knowing your needs during such a, for the want of a better word, confusing time.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a 1 in 100 year, period that we're going through.
Hopefully even longer. Hopefully it never comes back ever again.
I hope so.
I
It's
don't wish it on anyone.
no, it'd be nice if we can, obviously figure out a way to eradicate it. I think is going to be key going forward.
That'd be grand.
So with your clients, I've noticed on your Instagram, they're working towards another comp. Do you
Mm.
want to tell us a little bit about that and sort of how you've gone about setting the goals with your clients as well?
Yeah, sure. So, a long story short was I had a couple of athletes that were relatively strong. They loved their deadlifting and bench pressing and stuff like that. So I got in contact with Special Olympics Australia to see if we
Yep.
could try and get, this is back in 2018.
Yep.
I got in contact with Special Olympics Australia to see if we could have our athletes join in at the World Special Olympic Games, which is
Yep.
Dubai in March last year, 2019. And just see if we could have our athletes join in, wear the Australian jacket, go do powerlifting, because we knew that powerlifting wasn't a thing, Special Olympic powerlifting wasn't a thing in Australia. And unfortunately, we were knocked back, not because there was any issues, but because Special Olympic powerlifting had no base in Australia. In order to represent Australia, you have to go through like a qualification process.
Yeah.
And because that process didn't exist, we had no chance of getting any of our athletes to the Special Olympic Games. So it required basically a local meet the local meet,
Yep.
you had to post a total. Then you had to go to a state level meet, either
Yep.
Special Olympics or whatever the governing body was. And then you had to like win that, I think. And then you could go on to a national meet. And after competing at the national meet, you can be selected, or if there's too many people, you get drawn out of a hat to go to the world titles. And unfortunately, it just didn't exist in the slightest. So because there was no support for that, I basically made my own powerlifting meet called the Flying Kiwi Cup, which is a novice meet for anyone with special needs to compete in powerlifting, bench press and deadlift, like a push-pull. And from that, we just had a big uptake on it. I think we had like 14 athletes, I think, but we had a crowd of a couple of hundred came along to support us. And Special O basically approached us after the fact and said, hey, look, will you help us grow this sport and make it a thing? So now it's recognized inside Australia. And so now we need to go through our qualification process for all of our guys to do a local meet, which we did at the start of this year, just before lockdown, thankfully.
Awesome.
We have a state level meet August 22nd. On the Sunshine Coast. And so we'll do that state level meet. And then after the state level meet, either this year or next year, I believe we have to do a national meet. And I think we also have to do, this is all through the Australian Powerlifting Union. And then after that, I believe we have to do a Special Olympics national. So not a meet just hosted by the APU. It has to be via the Special Olympics at like a Special Olympics titles. And then once we compete at that meet, that allows everyone to qualify for the world's team, which is Germany in 2023. So going to Berlin. So in order for us to do that, that's kind of where I gauge everyone's goals. So be it everyone's attempting to make it through locals to states to national to whatever the case, and then building our numbers off that. So the couple of guys I had at the start, so like Brian and Emily, they were roughly looking at podiuming at Worlds. If I compared them to the last time that they had a world titles and any of the numbers I could see, they were ready for the podium, and they were barely into the lifting. So I was like, oh, got to get them out there, like that'd be great. But obviously there were lots of hoops and stuff to jump through, so I'm hoping to get them to obviously 2023. So just working on just making sure that they're healthy, making sure they always enjoy the gym, and we're slowly increasing up all their lifts as we go. So as long as each kind of 12 to 16 weeks, they're kind of peaking up and they pick up slightly heavier weights, happy as. But I don't put on like this is our total we need to hit and this is what we need to do, because a lot of the time they don't care. they really don't care. It's like I don't know if I've got a shirt here actually for the Flying Kiwi Cup, and our motto actually, it just happened to just be sitting here, is no egos, just lifting with my friends, because that's all it is like it's just they're lifting with their friends, and their health, like their body being more functional and being stronger means they're less prone to injury in their day-to-day life, and they can do more things independently. And that's all it is. Like, we don't really care about the total. We just care if you are striving for improvement, and we're happy as. So we just gauge everyone's goals off either going through that Special Olympics route or just making sure that they're functional in their day-to-day, which usually comes from the first aim. You know what I mean? If we're trying to get them stronger, that's going to come from it regardless.
Yeah. And that's so powerful what you're doing, and you're really giving them an opportunity that they wouldn't have otherwise had.
And someone would have done it eventually, I'm certain.
Oh, you never know. But
I'm pretty sure.
It's so like inspirational to see that you've actually taken that lift and gone and just run with it to really give them the opportunity. So I guess my last question for you, if you had any advice to someone who was hoping to do what you're doing, what would it be?
As a coach?
Yeah.
Buy more Avengers and like Barney shirts and Wiggle shirts and stuff, and make sure you know all the lyrics to like Wiggles Do the Twist, and like Barney in outer space and all that. But I think it's just be patient. Like, it's just be patient. Like a huge portion of my job is understanding that my rough rule is probably like, if they see me once a week, that probably 40 of the sessions a year are going to be good ones.
Yeah.
The remaining 12 are going to be just absolute throwaways. And I let most of the parents know, like if I think that behavior and things like that is going to be a thing, I let them know, because we're dealing with behaviors and we're dealing with sometimes a lack of understanding that just causes a mood swing or causes someone to not want to do things, or you have spontaneous injuries. Some of the guys can't explain or elaborate what might be sore or what might not be feeling good. They just want to shut down, if their back was feeling bad, odds are they don't come in going, oh yeah, look, like my SIJ is not too good. Like, I might just have a bit of a rest day. Maybe we'll just do some upper body push. They just sit on the floor and go, no.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a big patience thing, and knowing that, the growth of everyone in the team is not going to be the same as an average athlete. Average gen pop going through some sort of strength training, they can do all their accessories and they can do work at home and stuff like that. Most of the guys that see me, I'm their only gym for the week. So I think number one is just patience and love your team, make friends with them. They are your family, and it's the best job in the world. Like, I literally have the best job in the world. So I can just be a full-time child. It's the best thing.
Yeah. Hey, I feel like that's a bonus.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I the volume of conversations I've had about like Pokemon, or like about the Avengers, or about like Yu-Gi-Oh, like childhood shows and stuff. The volume of conversations I've had with some of the athletes I've got, that has, like, on the first or second time I've met them, that has just completely brought down their walls, and they just feel so much more comfortable with me because I relate to them. Like, it's not hard to just take a second, and that first session or second session, just take half an hour to just talk and find that common ground, and build your trust off that. If your athletes trust you, then you can achieve so much more together because they believe in you.
Yeah, and I think it's so important that you've recognized that and you've gotten to understand your clientele the way you have. I think it's quite unique, especially with how you're working with your clients as well.
Thank you.
So that's all right. So thank you so much for joining me. And that wraps up today's video. And what I'll do, I'll pop some links to Michael's Instagram in the bio for everyone. So you can go and check it out and give him a follow and see the amazing work that he's doing with his athletes.
No, shucks. It's more like the athletes do the amazing work. I just kind of like sing songs next to them, and I just load the weights. They literally do all the heavy lifting. I just sometimes load the plates on the bar. Make sure it doesn't fall on them.
That's awesome. So thank you again, and
more than welcome. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
that's
too
all
easy.
right.
Thanks so much for having me, Sammy.